I will call to order the Committee of the Whole for January 6, 2025. And Ms. Boak, would you please call the roll?
Councilmember Brown? Present. Councilmember Spatafor?
Present.
Councilmember Carter?
Here.
Councilmember Pelli-Van Councilmember Garza?
Here.
Councilmember Cost?
Here.
Councilmember Hussein? Councilmember Jackson? 8 members present.
Thank you. We have minutes from December 16th. Is there a motion to approve?
Make a motion to approve as written.
Okay, Councilmember Garza. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? That motion carries. We are to public comment on agenda items. Is there anyone in the public wishing to speak for up to 3 minutes? All right, seeing no one, we will go on to our action item, a resolution to elect the 2025 council president and vice president. Is there a nomination for the office of president of city council? Commissioner Pelli-Van
I nominate.
Is your microphone on?
Thank you. Thank you, Clerk Swope. I nominate Councilmember Spatafor for the president role.
Okay, thank you. Do you accept the nomination? Yes. Okay. And Councilmember Garza, did you have a nomination?
Yes, I would like to nominate Adam Hussein for president.
Okay. Adam, do you accept, Councilmember? Yes. Okay. And are there any other nominations? Councilmember Jackson?
I would nominate Jeff Brown for president.
And do you accept the nomination? Okay. All right. And are there any other nominations? Any other nominations? Any other nominations? Okay, seeing no further nominations, nominations will be closed. Does anyone wish to speak to the vote before we take the vote? Councilmember Jackson.
Thank you. As I've told everybody, from the first time we started talking about this last month, I believe that I am voting for someone new for the positions. I do appreciate that there's a learning curve and that there's that traditionally it's kind of been like helping along. However, I don't believe that somebody who has not been in leadership, let me say in the positive, I believe that a new person could be a president or vice president, especially knowing that they could ask anybody. They could ask any former president or vice president, Sherry, Chris Swope, the city attorneys. I don't think that our institution will allow someone who's president to do something like off the radar. So I'm looking for someone new for my vote.
Councilmember Garza.
Thank you, Clerk Swope. The rationale behind my decision is, for one, Adam Hussein, very active. I think probably one of the most active council members on this body. He is not up for re-election next year, so that was one of my big deciding factors. I know that other members that are interested in running for president will be up for re-election next year. I know there's a lot of work involved when it comes to getting re-elected. I know the work that it takes to become president. So this is a no-brainer for me, and I will be also supporting Ryan Cause for vice president.
Councilmember Pelli-Van.
Thank you. So my nomination of Councilman Spatafor, first of all, I'd like to say I completely respect everyone who's nominated for these leadership positions. We all know that you do take on more in terms of time and duties when you serve in these leadership roles. Councilman Spatafor has served leadership in the past, and again, it's not a detriment to, not in any way, shining a poor light on any other council member who is in the running for these positions. I'm just interested to see Councilman Spatafor's leadership style, as I haven't served under him in leadership previously. And I've heard positive things about his previous leadership, and that was the reason for my nomination.
Councilmember Cost.
I will be, excuse me, I will be supporting Councilmember Hussein. I have had the great honor of spending a lot of time out in the community the last 2 years with Councilman Hussein, interacting with the public on a regular basis. I don't know any city council member that's been over to many sites that are having issues right now as much as Councilmember Hussein, and not just visiting those sites, but talking to the people that are living in those conditions and then turning around and making action out of it, getting things moving. It has been a privilege to watch that. I think that he will make an excellent choice for president, someone that is deeply committed to this community, that's going to do the hard work. You look at, for me, one of the turning points was, looking at attendance and who shows up. And Adam shows up. And even when he is not here, I'm getting messages. He is prepared, ready to go, full of knowledge. And I think that's important. I also think it's important that someone can stick around for tough questions. Even when you're uncomfortable with those questions, those tough questions get asked with the good ones too. And you don't take it personal, you don't storm out of meetings. And I think that those are all good qualities of a leader.
Any other comments by council members? Any other debate? Councilmember Carter.
I can appreciate what Councilman Jackson had to bring to the table this evening regarding tenure. I think leadership is defined by individuals in its own right. I don't think there is a clear definition for leadership. I think it's very ambiguous to put that in one bucket as far as active, because if you think about it, the body has been active in their own right. I think also leadership qualities can be a large vast of different qualities, and not just when it comes to showing up at constituent meetings, but showing up at all hours, at all events, in all committees, not just those that are assigned. So when I look at a leader, I appreciate that all of the comments that were shared today, but I also want to make sure I also would be remiss if I didn't say that I also agree with Councilman Jackson that about the tenure. I know that's been a huge discussion. And again, I think that everyone started new at some point. And so there should be the opportunity to allow grace for that learning curve, and then also to lean on your colleagues for that additional support. And so with that, I also would be supporting Brown.
Okay, any other comments, debate? All right, I think since there are 3 candidates, it makes sense to vote by roll call. So, Ms. Bulk, if you could call the roll, please.
And is this for the first nomination?
No, you state the name of who you're voting for.
Oh, okay. Councilmember Brown. Councilmember Jackson. Councilmember Carter.
Councilman Brown.
Councilmember Garza.
Councilman Hussein.
Councilmember Cost.
Councilman Hussein.
Councilmember Hussein.
Myself.
Councilmember Spatafor.
Myself.
And Councilmember Pelley Van Oglu.
Councilmember Spatafor.
3 votes for Councilmember Brown, 3 votes for Councilmember Hussein, 2 votes for Councilmember Spatafor. The motion for president fails.
Okay. So no one having received a majority, I propose that we clear the nominations and reopen nominations. Councilmember Hussein.
So let me first, I give a lot of thought each year when it comes to this. And frankly, it's, this is my 10th year on council. And there's been a lot that I've committed myself to on council. Coming on to council, one of the things I obviously wanted to do as a ward rep was to unapologetically advocate for my ward. And then make sure that regardless of what I was advocating for and working toward, that it wasn't to the detriment of the city, but rather as a way to scaffold the city at large. Because the city of Lansing is near and dear to my heart, obviously, and its people. In terms of, I would say that we've gotten a lot of work done over the past several years. But one of the things, frankly, I don't necessarily feel, that we're in a better place today than maybe when I walked in, is that piece of leadership. I'm going to be real candid. I think we have some issues on this body. I think we've had some issues with past iterations. I think we've had some historic issues. And unfortunately, I think we're going to have to start having some tough conversations as a body. I think Charter Commission is having some conversations for us, frankly, but we have to have some tough, I think, conversations if we're going to truly move this body forward, and if we're truly going to do the business of the city in a way that is, I think, responsible and really responsive to the citizenry of the city. So, because of that, and even when I think of the leadership role, certainly my idea of leadership has evolved. Not only serving in that position, but also watching some people do an incredible job in that position, and frankly, watching some folks falter in that position. And so I took just a few notes in terms of some of the things that I know that a president does typically on a daily basis. There are, if you're doing this job right, there are often 8 to 10 to 12 contacts with staff every single day. I want folks to understand that. You are never far from the 10th floor if you're doing this job right. You have to be responsive. You have to be timely. You have to make tough decisions, sometimes unpopular decisions. If you're on a vacation, you have your phone in your hand because you have an entire staff on the 10th floor that, although they are empowered and they are capable and they are competent, there are times where they have to have you make a decision for them to continue to move forward. And if you don't do that, folks, they are literally left in the dark, right? And they're up here spinning their wheels. So you have to be accessible and you have to be responsive. I think it's huge. And Tamir touched on this earlier. I think it is huge that when we talk about being present, that you're not just talking about attending council meetings, committee meetings, your outside boards and agency meetings, but you're also in the public and you're actually bringing things back to this body, right? You're not just there to. I heard a council member at one meeting say that they're there to educate. I think we're there to provide information, but frankly, a lot of times I think we're there to be educated and to bring information back to ensure that we're actually doing the work of the citizenry at large. We have had some issues with attendance. Let's be very, very candid here. We had an email, and sometimes as leadership, you're going to have some tough conversations. We got an email as a leadership team this year in December. We would have handled it had we gotten it earlier. That one member of this body has not been to an outside board meeting in over 2 years. We had no idea because we don't see that attendance. So that individual was actually reaching out to us to see if we could please, they were pleading with us, to please remove that person and to put somebody else in there that's actually going to be committed to doing the job. That's a problem. We've had times in past years where we had members miss an entire year of committee meetings, right? And we had a president at that time, frankly, that didn't reach out to that person, didn't see fit that it didn't really view it as their responsibility to reach out to that person. I don't view that as leadership. I'm going to be real candid. We've had issues where folks are struggling to make their committee meetings, right? Folks are calling during the meeting saying they're not going to make it. Folks are calling after the meeting saying they're not going to make it. There are years I haven't been able to get up and use the doggone restroom in a committee meeting because we might sacrifice quorum. That is a problem. So when I say president, I want to see people, in terms of somebody I'm looking at for a leader, I want to see you present, and that's not just here. And I also want to see you prepared. We have a historic issue on this body with people coming. I remember my first year dealing with budget, and so it's not just this iteration of council. Literally, there were people up here. We were in the middle of the budget season, and they had not even opened up their budget books yet, right? So we were going through budget presentations, and for the first time, and to me, that's a microcosm, right, of a bigger problem that we have on this body. So I'm looking for somebody that's not just present, but also modeling preparedness, period. Also, you need to know that when you're in this role, part of being prepared is you are meeting what folks didn't see with regards to Mr. Garza's attendance last year when the attendance records were publicized. They didn't know he was meeting every other week with the city attorney's office, add on 26 meetings. They didn't know he was meeting bi-monthly with the mayor's office, add another 26 meetings. They didn't know he was meeting regularly with council staff, add another 52 meetings. You don't see those types of things. And you have to be prepared for each and every one of those meetings if we're going to continue to move, again, the ball down the field in terms of city business, right? So it's not a popularity contest, folks. It literally is, let's put somebody in there that is going to do the work. Engaged, again, attendance at committee and council meetings, really just the tip of the iceberg, folks, right? We need to see you engaged at a high level. Responsive, and then this is a huge piece for me. From here on out, when I look at leadership on this body, I'm looking at authenticity. In my time on council, 10 years now, and then also being engaged in city government prior to that, on the Parks Board as an example, and even being just a casual observer of city council, there's always been a dichotomy on council. And some people would say, there was a verge block or a shore block or a wood block or no, there were always two buckets, and there's always been two buckets. There's a bucket of self-servants, and there's a bucket of public servants. I have seen that every single year that I've had some measure of proximity to city council. And so I will not support anybody that I view as not being authentic in their representation. Are you here for the people of the city of Lansing, or are you here for some other goal, some other objective, right, to serve self? So, and I say all that because what I don't want to do is speak specifically to every single person that I do not cast a vote for, but I want folks to know where I'm coming from. So there are a number of things that council leadership is responsible for, and so there's a number of characteristics and attributes that I'm looking for in leadership. With all that being said, I am going to nominate, and there has been no discussion with this person about this, because I believe these conversations should happen to the dais. I'm going to nominate Ryan Cost, and I'm going to tell you why. Nobody at this body, or at this dais, including myself, has been more present than Ryan these past 2 years. Nobody has been more prepared. In my opinion, nobody has been more authentic in their representation. Nobody has been more responsive to staff. Nobody has been more responsive to the media. There are some folks at this dais, and again, I'm past worrying about whether I'm liked or whether, because that hasn't necessarily worked in 9 years in terms of moving the dial collectively and getting that ball down the field. So I'm just going to be candid. There are some folks that are radio silent on everybody, whether it be staff, whether it be media, whether it be your stakeholders, and that is simply not okay. There is a higher calling to a job such as this, and you also have to understand the hierarchy. When you step into a position like this, you haven't stepped above the citizenry, as an example, right? You have taken a step back, and you now serve that citizenry. In my opinion, Ryan is a leader in every way imaginable. And so for that, and I hope he accepts the nomination, I'm going to nominate Ryan for president. Thank you.
Councilmember Cost, do you accept the nomination?
I accept.
Are there any other nominations? Councilmember Jackson.
I'll nominate Jeff Brown.
And Councilmember Brown, do you accept the nomination? Okay. Are there any other nominations? Any other nominations? Okay, seeing none, is it acceptable to the body to do by show of hands? Okay, all those who would vote to put forward Councilmember Cost, please raise your hand. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 5. And those who would put forward Councilmember Brown, please raise your hand. 3. Okay, we have a majority, so Councilmember Cost will be on the resolution. And now we will open nominations for the position of Vice President. Are there any nominations? Councilmember Spatafor.
My mic is on, Sherry. I haven't discussed this with this person, so there may be a no answer coming, but I would like to nominate Councilmember Palavanoglu. Turnabout's fair play.
Councilmember Palavanoglu, do you accept the nomination?
Yeah, I'll accept. Thank you.
Okay. Are there any other nominations? Any other nominations? Councilmember Jackson.
I haven't discussed this with anybody, but just to keep it an actual vote, why not? I would nominate Mr. Spatafor.
Do you accept the nomination? Okay, he declines the nomination. So, Councilmember Brown.
I haven't spoken with them, but I would nominate Councilwoman Carter.
Councilwoman Carter, do you accept the nomination?
Yes.
Yes? Okay. And Councilmember Hussein, you had your hand up?
Yeah. I'm going to nominate Councilman Garza.
And do you accept the nomination?
I would have to respectfully decline, just because I am up for reelection next year, and I don't want to miss out on anything important.
Okay, and did you have a nomination?
I would like to nominate Adam Hussein.
Okay, and do you accept the nomination?
Yes.
Okay. Are there any other nominations? Any other nominations? Okay, again, we have three, so for straightforwardness, we will go with a roll call. So Ms. Volk, if you would call the roll, please.
Councilmember Hussein. Councilmember Pelli-Van-Oglu.
Pelli-Vonaglu.
Councilmember Cost. Councilmember Brown.
Carter.
Councilmember Spatafor.
Pelli-Vonaglu.
Councilmember Garza. Councilmember Carter.
Carter.
Councilmember Jackson. Okay, we have 3 for Councilmember Hussein, 3 for Councilmember Pelli-Van-Oglu, and 2 for Councilmember Carter. Motion fails.
Okay, no one having received a majority, we will again clear nominations and ask for new nominations. Are there any nominations for the office of Vice President? Councilmember Cost.
I would like to nominate Adam Hussein.
Okay, and do you again accept the nomination? Okay. And are there any other nominations? Councilmember Brown.
Carter.
Okay. And Councilmember Carter, do you accept the nomination? Yes. Okay. And are there any other nominations? Councilmember Spatafor. Councilmember Jackson, do you accept the nomination? Okay. And are there any other nominations? Any other nominations? Any other nominations? Okay. Is there any one wish to discuss or debate? Okay, we will move forward to a vote.
Councilmember Jackson. Councilmember Carter. Councilmember Garza. Councilmember Cost. Councilmember Hussein. Councilmember Spatafor. Councilmember Pelli-Van-Oglu.
Carter.
Councilmember Brown.
Carter.
3 votes for Councilmember Hussein, 5 votes for Councilmember Carter.
Okay, congratulations, Councilmember Carter and Councilmember Cost. Do we need a final vote on the resolution with the blanks filled in?
That's a very good question.
I would take a
Sure.
motion to move the resolution forward with Councilmember Cost as president and Councilmember Carter as vice president.
Mr. Chair,
Councilmember Spatafor.
I'd move the resolution.
Okay, the resolution has been moved. Is there any further debate? Seeing none, all those in favor say aye. Any opposed? Okay, the motion carries unanimously. And is there any other business? There being no further business before the committee of the whole, we will be adjourned until the council meeting at 7 o'clock.